question that comes up quite a lot is, what tools do I need to do a van build? Well, even though it's a question that's very individual to what you're planning to build, here's a rundown of our top tools. If you're just starting out on your van build journey or looking for some guidance along the way, check out our Van Build Basics playlist for subjects like electrics, heating, hot water, solar, Wi-Fi and gas. Before we talk about the actual types of tool, we have to mention price and quality. There's always a wide variation, and the old saying of you get what you pay for is often true. However, we have seen a big improvement in average price tools over the last 5 to 10 years, so our suggestion is, unless you are a professional looking for something to be able to use multiple times every day for 10 years, a middle of the road tool will probably be fine. In the video description we've linked some examples of what we think are the best value for money for the hobbyist van builder. So let's get on with looking at the tools we couldn't do without. If you haven't already got them, starting with a comprehensive and reasonable quality all-in toolkit with socket set, spanner, screwdrivers, Allen keys, grips, pliers and cutters is a great foundation. A few years ago this was definitely an area where spending a bit more made a difference, and it probably is if you're going to be using it a lot. But in recent years, even the average quality sets have come a long way and will probably suit most people. For us, PPE was essential before COVID. Eye and ear protection helps you protect those vital senses, and when working with different materials, a dust mask will make it more comfortable and safer. Finally, a good selection of gloves will help protect you from sharp edges, cold or dirt, depending on the task. A drill is pretty much an essential, and I would go for a cordless one that can also double as a power screwdriver. You're probably going to be drilling a lot of holes and screwing a lot of screws. A spare battery is also a great addition, as it can be very frustrating when one goes flat and you have to wait for it to charge. You're probably going to need to make multiple holes in various materials and screw in hundreds of fixtures, so in my opinion it's worth spending a little bit on a good quality set of drill bits and screwdriver bits, as having the right bits for the right job makes a huge difference. Although it's not an essential, there are other ways you can cut bigger holes with a small drill bit. A set of good quality hole saws can make things easier, quicker and neater for things like mounting gauges, dropout vents and running pipes and cables. Cutting wood for the interior and metal for windows and skylights is somewhere power really takes the strain. For us, a jigsaw proved to be the most flexible tool for many of the jobs. Again, it's worth spending a bit more on quality blades so that you have the right ones for the right materials. When it comes to installing your electrical setup, a multimeter is a really useful, if not essential, tool. It will also come in very handy when you have to trace those inevitable faults in the future. You don't have to spend a fortune unless you want to, as the budget end of the market do a really good job. As it's one of the more complicated tools to use, I'll be doing a short video on the basics of how to use it soon, and when I have, I'll link it up here and in the description. While you're doing your electrical fit out, you're going to need to strip lots of wires. Whilst it's possible with wire cutters or a knife, a dedicated wire stripper makes it so much easier and less frustrating. Once stripped, how you plan to join the many wires you're going to use will make a difference on the tools you need. Probably the simplest, but in my experience, not the most robust, is a crimping tool and various crimps. They're easy to use, but also pretty easy to fail. Where we have a permanent connection, I much prefer to use a solder joint, which will need soldering iron and kit, and heat shrink or electrical tape. Again, watch this space for a more detailed video on this topic, which I'll link up here when it's done. if you're working on the mechanical or structural elements of your van, a torque wrench allows you to make sure that when you put it back together, you set the nuts and bolts to the correct tightness. Less essential, but a massive help unless you have access to a ramp or a pit when you're running cables, pipes, or just maintaining your van. A creeper makes it much easier and more comfortable to get under and move around to get the job done. When it comes to some of the finishing touches or fiddly jobs, whilst it's not an essential, an oscillating multi-tool can make plunge cutting, neat hole trimming, flush cutting, surface cleaning and preparation really easy. They're not that expensive, and again, this is an area that we found going cordless does help. Thanks for watching our video, and as always, if you have any questions or feedback, please pop them in the comments below. If you find the video useful, please like, share and consider subscribing.